is collect taxes, send them to me, you're fine. I'm going to rule this, but you're just the puppet king. Well, Jehoiakim decided, I'm king. I'm going to muster all the rebellion and all the armies together, and I'm going to go and fight Nebuchadnezzar. Well, Jeremiah at this time was the prophet. He was called the weeping prophet because he was trying to tell, at that time, Jehoiakim, this is not about who we're serving in this. It's about the gods we're worshiping. You need to focus not on the fact that Nebuchadnezzar is the king, real king. You need to focus on the fact that we're not worshiping God, and that's why. And it doesn't matter what you do, God's not going to bless us. It's going to end badly for you. But Jehoiakim decided, in his own mind, I can do this. It did not turn out well for him. Once the insurrection arose, he went out, he came back, Nebuchadnezzar came down, destroyed Jehoiakim, put a new king in its place, and told him the same thing. You're just a puppet king. All right, I'm the one with the real authority. I'm the one with the real power. All right? But what does he do? He decides he's going to make an alliance with Egypt. And they're going to, in turn around and they're going to go against Nebuchadnezzar. Well, Jeremiah, once again, is telling this king the same thing. It's not about Nebuchadnezzar. We're being punished because we're worshiping other idols. We don't need to worry about Nebuchadnezzar. We need to start worshiping God and not the other idols. But in his mind, he decided he was going to take this little nation of Israel and go against the entire country of Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar came down, killed his family, then poked his eyes out, and then paraded him back to Babylon to make him as an example of his power, and that this king was just a puppet king. And in Jeremiah 17:9, Jeremiah writes something that's true about me, and I think it's true about all of us. That even though we're Christ followers, it doesn't change the fact of what Jeremiah said in 17:9. He says, the heart is deceitful above all things. The King James says desperately wicked. I believe NIV says beyond cure, which means it can't be fixed. You can't get more religious about it. You'll never get beyond that. Even as believers, our heart is still desperately wicked. And so we're confronted with these two options on a regular basis. And what we have to look at, and what I have to look at on a regular basis, is I'm always going to tend to go where my heart goes, because my heart ultimately doesn't really want truth. It wants happiness. So this is what happens. What happens inside of my heart is I go towards something, I make a decision towards something, just like dessert. And what happens is my heart says, I really want that, I really want that. And it sends signals to my brain and says, come up with a real reason why you can do that. Because just me saying, I want that, I can do that because I just want to, doesn't really sound good. So my heart will come up, my brain will come up, and it will give me different answers. It's like, you've been good all week. All right? You haven't had dessert in a couple days. You ate a lean cuisine earlier. You're not overindulging. You owe this to yourself. All right, I'm using dessert. You can picture this in anything in your life. And what happens is that my mind starts believing what is really a lie. I sat down with Woody and Will. We were talking about going to the marble yard to do some grappling. And honestly, it goes back to where I am. And walking through this whole process, it was like, well, I really don't want to, that doesn't sound right. And then it started opening up, and I looked at Woody and Will, and I sat there and I said, honestly, I don't want to do this. All right? Honestly, I'm scared. Honestly, I don't have enough time in my life to go out there and climb a bunch of rocks with you guys. Because I don't even have time to cut my grass or do any of these other things. I don't have enough time with my wife. And as it came out of my mouth, truth, real honesty. It's not like I got things to do. I got other things to do. I could have come up with an excuse. Honesty just didn't sound like the best thing. And then I went to that place after I opened up and I shared that, and I started talking to Woody. I said, you know, that doesn't sound really good coming out of my mouth. It did not. It sounded like, you know, kind of just blowing you guys off. I mean, it's supposed to be a spiritual thing. It's more than just climbing rocks. It's about us bonding together as a group. And I'm really thinking, I don't really want to do that. I mean, think about yourselves. I mean, just think about breakfast or church or whatever. I mean, I have had so many guys tell me over the years, I say, well, come on, why don't you come to breakfast with us? And I tell them, it's 7:30 in the morning. And you always see the same response. 7:30? Really? Are you serious? I mean, it is. It is the same response. It's my only day to sleep in. I got to cut grass. Really? At 7:30 in the morning? Yeah. Serious? What idiots out there at 7:30 in the morning cutting grass? Oh, well, other than Hank. I mean, we all know what happens, really. And we all know, if you get out there at 7:30 in the morning, the dew's on the ground. If the grass is anything more than that, it's going to clog up the engine, and then you're going to have all this mess. It's going to take you twice as long to cut it. So what really happens in the middle of that? What really goes on? And that's where we need to go today. So I've got a series of questions. I've got a series of questions, and it's two sets of questions. There are about 8 questions under each one. I only want you to pick the one that applies to you in each group. Ask yourself, honestly, why are you doing the things you're doing? Are you prepared to face the real truth? What's really going on inside of you? The truth is, I'm not completely honest with myself, and I deceive myself. Jeremiah 17:9, we already talked about that. James 1:22 through 24. Do not merely listen to the word and deceive yourself. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like a man who looks in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forget what he looks like. Questions?
I tried to.
Questions. The real reason I don't call my kids is the real reason. The real reason I am buying whatever is. The real reason I'm taking this job or leaving this other job is. The real reason I'm putting my house on the market. The real reason I filed for divorce is. The real reason why I go to the bar or I drink too much is. Really, what's the real reason? The real reason I don't exercise. The real reason I don't really watch my weight or take care of my body is. That's something you make up. What's the real reason? The real reason I work so many hours. The real reason why my relationship with my wife or a member of my family is bad is. The real reason I'm struggling financially is.